Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and today I'm going to share a really fun knitting technique with you, and it looks kind of tricky, but it is not, and it'll give you a way to use all of these fabulous balls of ribbon and ladder yarn you've been hoarding all these years. Yeah, you. Yeah, I know, you're a yarn hoarder. I know when I see one because it's like looking in the mirror. So what I've done here is I've started this scarf, and I'm using a technique that I call dropped stitch stripes, and I don't really know if that's the real name of this technique, but it makes kind of stripes of long lines and then a short ridge of knitting, then long lines and a short ridge of knitting. I just think it's a really pretty way to use this yarn because it shows off the unique characters. And so like if you have this ladder yarn, it will just really make the most out of it. So the technique is really easy, and there's only a couple things you need to remember. So this is the ball of yarn I used for this, a Lion brand Incredible. And I'm going to set that aside, and what you want to do is cast on an even number of stitches, and then you want to knit every row for a few rows, just your basic garter stitch. Oops, I like my Denise needles a lot better than my plastic ones, but I needed a size 11 for this yarn, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit this row regular, just pretend it's one of my first 6 rows. And the only thing you have to remember when you're casting on your project is to put on an odd number of stitches. So if you wanted a scarf, you could go between like 15 and 19 stitches. If you want to do like this might end up being a scarf for one of my daughter's American Girl dolls, so I could keep it at 5 stitches and be just fine. So even just knitting, it's a lovely yarn, and you know, it would be pretty just like that. But when you use a drop stitch technique, you really get to see the qualities of the yarn. So move some of this out of the way. My goodness, I've got yarn going everywhere here. My yarn hoard is getting out of hand. So for this pattern, what you're going to do, and I knit continental style, so it might look a little strange to you, but you know, we're just going to knit one, then yarn over. So I'm putting my yarn over the needle in my right hand, okay? So we're going to knit one, and then we're going to yarn over. So I'm going kind of slow here so you can see what I'm doing. Going to knit one, yarning over the exact same way you'd wrap it for knitting. Just yarn it over, just laying it across that stick like that, okay? That needle. We're knitting one, we're yarning over, and we're going to knit the last one. So since we're always doing a odd number here, we're always going to start and finish on a knit one. That way we don't get confused with what stitches we need to drop in the next row. So we're going to go to the next row, and we're going to start dropping off the stitches that we yarned over. So we're going to knit that first one, because remember we ended it with a knit one. Always start and end with a knit one. Then we're going to drop that next one off. It's a little scary, I know. Knit one, and drop the next one off. Be careful, because sometimes this yarn likes to slide under this stitch in back of it, so you have to be careful that you're dropping the correct stitch. It does get a little confusing when you're working with something larger. That's why for the video I'm doing something smaller, because I realized that I couldn't talk and drop the proper stitch off at the same time. I had a mess. So this is reshoot. This is take 2. I was working on my bigger one, and then I completely forgot where I was in the middle of the row. So, and then when I pull it out, we have this nice long line of stitches. So let's do a couple more rows so we're comfortable with it, and we'll see what we get. So again, we're going to be, now we're in the yarning over row, so we're going to knit one. I'll go a little faster. Yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, and we're ending on a knit one. And I don't think it really matters too much whether you flatten your yarn out as you go. I notice it kind of bunches up, but it seems like once you pull it straight, it does get straightened back out again. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I wouldn't spend all your time making sure your yarn is flat going on the needle. Maybe someone will leave me a comment and say, you know, you really should, but I haven't had a problem with it. All right, so we're knitting one and dropping off the next one. So every stitch that we yarned over before gets dropped off in this row. So as long as you remember that you're dropping off the stitches you yarned over before, you will be fine and cherry wine. And look how long your scarf gets, because you have those long rows. You end up getting getting a lot done in a very small amount of time. So you might want to try it on like maybe the body of a tank top that you're going to wear like a turtleneck underneath. It would be really beautiful done in some of this yarn for, you know, holiday parties. It's just a really, really fun technique to try with your ribbon or ladder yarns or any sort of flat yarn that's really decorative that you really want to show off. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Give me a thumbs up if you like this, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other fabulous knitting, crafting, painting videos from the Frugal Crafter. I want to thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.